people. Well, nice to be back at the piano doing one of these for you. Something came through today that was really nice to feel. Because Katie and I went up to Santa Fe. We spent a lovely evening with my brother who was coming through town. Saw my mom, my sister, just had a kind of a nice little 12 hours away. And Annalise spent the night with her grandmother. And what and then we were talking about, how there's this thing that happens on the weekends where Annalise just kind of needs us. She needs to come back home. She needs to she's gone to school 5 days. She's been napping at school. I mean, she sees us every evening, but it ends up, she kind of accumulates this need to be home over the course of the week. And then at the end of the week, she comes home. And so yesterday, when she kind of didn't get her hit of home, I mean, she got her hit of her grandparents, which is almost better than home. But she didn't get us until today when we came back. We came back early. And what I noticed as I was with her was just this sense of everything just being ordinary. The time we were spending was just what it was. We weren't doing anything particularly special. We weren't doing anything exceptional. We were just being with each other. I came back and Katie had an appointment, so I went and helped Annalise go down for her nap. And it was just this ease and this kind of gentleness, like the contact of being together, the simpleness of contact, just being there for each other, which I had almost not even realized how much I had craved it just by being gone for, it's almost like her accumulating the need to be home and sort of ground into her home and her parents also was building up in me. And so when we got to, spending some time together, it was like I was also ready to kind of just be in contact. And so it provided this glimpse of how the ordinary is so incredible. One of the things that Chögyam Trungpa, one of the things I love about the way he writes is that everything he writes, it sounds like, the way that he writes, it feels like the life of a monastic individual and the life of a layman, civilian in the world are one thing. He writes as though they're one thing. He doesn't write as though there's this tension between the asceticism and the kind of discipline of the monks. For him, he's talking about the warrior. His the image he comes back to is the image of being a warrior. But for him, the image of the warrior is is the same image as the image of the householder, as the image of the person in the world. And I love that about his writing. I love that that as I read it, I see myself in the way that everything is treated. I see the kind of ordinariness of life, and I see the deep, kind of profound connection to something beyond. And I don't feel like I have to leave my life to get that. I don't feel like I have to become a monk or go on a retreat, or not that going on a retreat or spending some, dedicated time in silence or whatever. It sounds great. That would be really beautiful. But I don't feel I feel like there's nothing lacking from my spiritual life in my everyday life. And to see someone of that level of realization describing ordinary life in that way, and as describing just life, the life of human beings, in such a way as to kind of both paint the picture of a deep spiritual warriorship, like a complete and utter giving of oneself to the world, total, what he calls, when he talks about renunciation, he defines renunciation as essentially renouncing all selfishness, which even comes down to privacy. It means renouncing all privacy. I forget how he says it, but it's something like he defines renunciation as the willingness to open to the world, to be of service, to be available to the world in every moment, relentlessly, with no holding back, nothing kept back for ourselves. And that just strikes me as such a beautiful ideal, a beautiful description of what our posture towards the world becomes. But again, in that simple description of renunciation, that simple definition of renunciation, he's weaving together a concept that comes kind of from, I don't know that it comes from monastic traditions, but it certainly is associated with the kind of ascetic life. We think of renunciation as being the renouncing of pleasures, or the renouncing of desire. And instead he just kind of spins the ball and it dances, and it's like, oh no, it just means always. It means ever expanding availability, ever expanding connection, ever expanding service. And so then, today as I was coming back to our home after really just one night away, not a long time, but just feeling that simplicity, I was so grateful. I was so grateful that I was just spending some time with my daughter. Just spending time. And I think there's something for me in particular to learn or receive, having to do with simplicity and accepting the ordinary. There's another spiritual writer, I can't think of right now, but who talks about spiritual realization is both utterly profound, utterly transcendent, utterly extraordinary and almost otherworldly, because it's literally not of this world, and at the same time, utterly ordinary, utterly matter of fact, utterly imminent in front of us. And that's a paradox, right? That's two seemingly irreconcilable things. But realization is a complete connection with both. Not needing the ordinary to be extraordinary. Allowing it to be what it is. Thank you. Much love. I'll see you tomorrow.